Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Foxton. I am Gina B, and the place to be is here with me every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard. Listen, this week's show is going to be a little bit different than the norm here. We're going to be talking about this book, Walking the Leadership Ledge. So it's going to benefit a lot of you, even if you don't think so. Okay, so just bear with me on that. Think about that for a minute while I read her bio and get her on here. So this week in the Foxton, we welcome Tess Fyalka. Okay, now have you ever been recently promoted to a new leadership role? One that you've taken, and your stellar performance is what got you that job, but then that's not quite enough. All right. Are you finding that skill set that served you so well as a standout staff member is woefully inadequate for your new role at managing people and a unified team designed to fulfill a corporate objective peacefully and effectively? Well, help is on the way, and you'll find all the answers you need to get started cutting through the challenging team dynamics and managing them effectively to maximize high performance success while doing it with minimum disruption or loss of sanity. Tess Fyalka's new book, Walking the Leadership Ledge, The New Leader's Guide to Building Resilience and Confidence at Every Step, pulls from her 25 years experience in leadership management, corporate training, and organizational development. She is a sought-after speaker, and Tess is one of only 247 professional leadership coaches in the United States, 1 in 100 worldwide to have earned International Coaching Federation's Advanced Certification in Team Coaching, or ACTC, which is a lot easier to say. And today she is here to offer her exceptional insights into transforming you into a superstar at leadership. And here she is, the one and the only Tess. Hi
Hello,
there.
Gina. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that very generous introduction.
Oh, I want to get my comments up here in case. Okay, so everybody, welcome, and yes, so we are talking about this book right here. Okay, so Walking the Leadership Ledge. Now, you all know me. Okay, when I dog ear a book so crazily, okay, it's almost like every single page is dog eared, and not only that, every single page is written on arrows, underlines, bullet points, stars. I mean, it's throughout this entire book. I can't even believe it. I can't even believe it. Because firstly, I have to say this. All right, I was a triple business owner. Okay, I've always been self-employed. This book could have helped me a long, long time ago, and that was a long time ago. I don't work anymore. I just do this. Okay, but this book could have helped me a lot back then. And that being said, today I run, I co-organize like Penhurst Paracon. Now this is a 9 to 10,000 people coming event. I have on my side of it, I have 30 people under me that I manage, that are running all and handling our celebrity guests, right? So I have utmost confidence in every single one of them. I mean, they are an amazing team. I've had them, since the day one of this Paracon. So they know my veterans, okay, I should say. They know exactly what needs to be done and what I need of them. And it changes every year, and it can change on the dime. And they understand that, and they know that. And and they're bearing with me. And this year, since it's so much bigger and we have so many more people, I've had to add some people. So the new people, I have been trying and training and putting in and saying all the things that we need. I make all these nice blocker name, like all these nice little packets. So it has their name on it. It has pictures of the celebrities in case they don't know who they are, because we have multiple celebrities. Inside is their badges and all the information that they need, all the itineraries and their speaking times and where they need to be and when, and all of it. So it's all in this 30 of these package. And we have so many different bashes going on all over the place. We have these little mini workshops. So I have like these big boards that have all the information on what they are. And there's 2 of those. So I have a girl that's running that. this is her book of all the things and all the people and lots of printing. And then when there's a change and I had to reprint, my printer broke. So I had to get a new printer to reprint this whole book and then some. But neither here nor there. I needed a new printer anyway. So, but it's like, it's a lot of work. I put a lot of my energy and effort into this, and so do they. I mean, it's a lot of hard work. And, they are just spot on amazing, amazing. And I kept thinking about them as I'm reading through this book. And as I'm reading through the book, I'm going through all the back things that I used to do when I was a boss, the bad things I used to do, the things I still do today, because I am the perfectionist one. And that one, because you talk about this too, and I'm going to ask you, you're going to be speaking in a minute. You say, I swear to God, you are. But I'm like, all these things, that you say in here. So that perfectionist and that one that's like, well, I'll just do it myself. Not here. I cannot do that here with this event. I can't. So I have to be able to trust my team and trust my people. But that being said, why I'm saying this is not only is this good for the corporate ladder and the corporate going to the office every day and dressing and that kind of a job, it's for this. It's for an event like this or any kind of small business that you're running at least, a handful of people even, And Bob, my fiance, he's the president of his union. He needs this book. This is going right to him from here. He really needs this book. So all that being said, I welcome you wholeheartedly to this show. I love what you did in this book. You are hilarious with a lot of these things too. Well written, well done, a lot of information and a little space.
Well, thank you, Gina. I'm so glad you got so much out of it. That is so heartening to me. Of course, every author, especially those of us in the nonfiction and business space, want to know that we're trying to help people like you. And so it's when it resonates, when you can wrap your head around, oh, okay, how can I apply this? These are some things that I can do. I mean, that's really the piece de resistance. That's what we're going for there. It's funny that you say that, though. In terms of and your point about how this can help folks in all different kinds of leadership, management, influence positions. A good friend of mine is a choir director, and she's been a choir director for many, many years. And she was like, "There's so much here that I can apply." And she's working with volunteers all the time, and it just, I think when you write something and you put it out in the world and you hope that it resonates, but you don't really know if it's going to. It's heartening to hear that it resonates. So thank you for that.
Oh, it does. It does. I mean, I really have been self-employed forever, and I was a woman in a construction business, and I'm the boss, and that's a hard place to be at, So that's why I always have to be. I'd have to read the room, basically. You have to treat each one of them different. How they're going to come at you, is how you're going to go at them. So communication, I mean, the communication was always there. If they're not going to communicate with me, like an electrician or something, it's like, you know what? Okay, if you don't want to do it my way, there's the door, okay? Because there's like a whole ton of electricians that can do your job. So if you want to stay, you can do it my way, but I would have to get like that, and then there was the times where you had to coddle and you had to hand hold a little bit, and so it's like you have to, the communication is a roller coaster kind of road in that.
Well, I think you make such an important point there. It's like, it's that recognition of who is the leader that I need to be in this situation. And um well, and as a side note, I spent 10 years working in commercial construction myself in employee development. Yeah, and corporate training and developing their internal coaching systems and their leadership development and that. But your point about,
You've heard
who's
that.
in well,
You've heard the
and here's,
dynamic.
yes, I am quite familiar with the dynamic, and I also think it's an industry where, like many industries, lots of assumptions are made around stereotypes and things like that. And but your point about who's in front of me, how am I going to connect with them? What's the way that I reach out to them? And in some cases, it's a command and control. Sorry, this isn't working. There's the door. In other cases, it's okay, let's sit down and let me better understand how you're experiencing this, what you need from me, because I see in you that you have a lot of potential and I need to adjust as a leader so that I can better bring that out in you.
Yep. Yep. 100%. Now this book though, it is geared more towards like, new leadership roles and new people in it. So like these people are fantastic at their jobs, right? They've done it for many, many, many years, maybe, and then all of a sudden they're promoted and they're thinking, this is going to be a piece of cake, a catwalk. These are all my friends, blah, blah, blah. What happens?
Yeah. And then the wheels fall off the bus,
Exactly. This is one of
Yes.
my worker bees right here. I love her dearly. And when I said my new people need some information and some help, bam, who's the first one on it, offering the best advice on the planet? Kim. I love her to death. I love every one of them. But yes,
Hi, Kim.
she's fantastic. Fantastic.
Mhm. Good to have you here. And so yeah, I mean, to your point, they're recognized because yes, they're doing really great work, and so that's what gets them noticed. And so I for example, let's say Betsy. Betsy is in the accounting department, and Betsy is so good at accounting. I mean, she's her spreadsheets are down, to the penny. And the joke in the office is she could, write an Excel formula so to wash the dishes. She's that good. And so everybody loves her. And so then leadership in the organization, those in the C-suite, they're like, oh, well, if we promote Betsy, everyone around Betsy is going to be just as good. And so like magic pixie dust, right? Like Betsy's just gonna sprinkle her pixie dust and everybody's gonna be just like Betsy. And so and Betsy's like, no, and that doesn't happen. And Betsy's like, well, okay, I don't know what the big deal is. Sure, I'll this is great. Betsy, is excited about the move and the transition and the opportunity here. And she's like, well, sure, they just need to do things the way I do, and then everything will be fine. But it's a completely different set of competencies. And so Betsy goes into the position, and she's trying to be a manager using the skills that were enabled her to be successful as an individual contributor. And then management is scratching their head going, oh, geez, we thought Betsy was going to be really good at this. And this isn't working out. Well, what has happened is that unfortunately, Betsy has basically been, to be frank, set up to fail.
Right.
And yeah, exactly. Because we don't just because we get this new title, then automatically know, well, how do I bridge, the larger strategy to what my team's function is? Yeah, and how do I communicate the messages from the higher up to my team in a way that they can understand it? How do they connect to that? How do I build the team? How do I invest in the team? How do I scale my capacity? How do I show up in a way where I can be authentic and I can speak the truth and I can have those difficult conversations? And there's something there in terms of I can set forth a vision, if you will. It might not be the big grand vision of the organization, but I can help my team members see how they're connected, how what we do connects to the bigger vision and why their work matters, whether they're sweeping the floors or they're selling $1 million deals.
Right. Yeah, everyone has their role. And the thing is now you talk about, a lot about it is teamwork. That is the only way that things are going to, happen. Yeah. And I've seen it. I've witnessed it, people that do wonderful jobs get promoted and are so lost. They're just so lost in a leadership, but then they want to still be buds with their, you know, their teammates when they're the actual ones in charge. And then it's like, okay, then they'll get upset with you and then you're going to have an argument with them. And it's like, you can't do that. you cannot do that. Well, one, all right, I'm the boss. Okay. I will listen to you. I will give you all a platform. Okay. Tell me, speak to me. This is great. I always welcome advice and good ideas and what can make this wheel work better. What can make it all pull together better. But if it's not a good idea, they have to understand it's my decision, and you have to accept that. And then you have to go from that friendship to that type of a thing and stick with it. And not be like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, no, you can't. You can't.
Yes, exactly. And that is an area where a new leader, and we're new leaders throughout our career. We go into a new position, and so we're new leaders throughout our career. But that in particular, especially, if they're moving from peer to boss, that is just another layer of complexity. And they really have to get grounded in that, articulating their leadership philosophy and sharing that with the group, sharing with their team members how they see their role growing or perhaps changing based on where the organization is going. And it is that it's not about them. It is, and while we want the symbiotic relationship, we need the symbiotic relationship, where the team members are benefiting from the organization, and the organization is benefiting from the team members. Ultimately, when we are in a workplace, we are there in service to the mission, vision, and values of the organization. And there's just simply no two ways about that. And so for that new leader, when they're coming in and they're articulating what they see for the future of the team and how the team members fit into that, and articulating, here is what you can expect from me. Some things are going to change because my role has changed. Because, again, the team members, are like, well, Sam, he's been on the team, he knows the challenges we face and all of that, and maybe he'll look the other way, maybe he'll let us take some
Right.
shortcuts, those kinds of things. Well, Sam can't do that. And Sam has to have some real clarity around his own boundaries. But the thing is, he's got to articulate it, tell
Yeah.
his team members what to expect from him, and also acknowledging that the I'm new in this role, and I am learning as well, and I am going to make some mistakes, and I'm going to ask you to help me grow as a leader, and I'll ask you for feedback, and I'll seek your input, and ultimately at the end of the day I'll make the best decision I can based on what the situation demands.
100%. And sometimes that's not an easy thing to do, but it is. It's necessary. You know. So when okay, now let's say said leader is in this role, distinguishes the difference between, okay, peer to leader, has that leadership role. Now the team is working good, the goal is within reach. You've got one person that's just not doing what they should be doing. They're not pulling their weight, or they're not contributing, and now you have to speak with them. So that's the tough decision. So what do you say to the new leader that has to make that really awkward conversation for the first time?
And the thing is, the truth is, we're having awkward conversations all the time, in our day-to-day life. And that really is the truth. It's just that when we're in that situation, most often what I see is that they will avoid it and avoid it and avoid it. And then this issue, this problem, this situation just grows exponentially. And it gets to the point where they can't avoid it. Or when they finally, snap over something that this person did, it's something small and seemingly insignificant, and this person is scratching their head. And so, about what the heck did I do? And so This is really, it's really challenging because what the leader at any level has to get into the habit of doing is creating a culture of conversation where there's ongoing dialogue with the team and in one-on-ones. And so where there's ongoing feedback and discussion and conversation. So that's part of it. So being intentional about creating a culture of conversation and dialogue is extremely important. And then when you have that, then having the difficult conversation is just a matter of routine because you've established the culture. Now, that said, when you are ignoring the conversation, or there's like something, it's like you've got to have this very difficult conversation. There walking through a series of steps, and so I outline these in the book. And getting, addressing, first of all, what's the behavior. Is this something that's being repeated? And what's the risk if I don't address this? What's the risk to the team, to the individual, to the organization, so on and so forth? And so that's kind of just a quick assessment that you can do. And then you're looking at having the conversation, and you want to check your emotions, because our emotions are always driving the bus. And someone who says, well, I'm not emotional, well, that's BS. Because I mean, it just is, because there's no such then you're dead.
There's no
I mean,
animal like that. Yeah.
there's exactly. I mean, you are non-existent then. And because the emotions are always driving the bus. But the key is that if we can recognize the emotions, if we can notice the emotions, then the emotions don't have to drive the bus over the cliff. And so that, when you're in a situation and somebody, let's say Ian is talking over everybody in the meeting, and he's doing this again and again and again, and it's like you're getting triggered, and you're spinning up, and it's really ticking you off, because Ian is starting to remind you of this obnoxious boss that you once had. And so you start weaving all of these, simple stories and clever stories around, Ian and his motivation, and Ian's, he's a jerk and he's arrogant and all of these things. And so what you're doing then is you're pouring more emotional gasoline on, the kindling that is already smoldering, and you're getting more and more irritated. And so you have to recognize, wow, what's happening to me in this moment? Because leadership is always an inside out job. And especially when we're dealing with a highly charged and emotional situation, what's happening to me internally? What are the emotions that are popping up? And what story am I telling myself that is fueling those emotions? And what's another story that I could tell myself about Ian? For example, Ian's new to the team. He's enthusiastic. He's trying to, connect with the team. And this is frankly something that, side note here, we see oftentimes in extroverts, and that they're connecting, and this is how they connect, and they're talking, and the introverts are going, oh, well, you are just shutting me down. And so, but that's their way of connecting. And so, if we can, with Ian, if we can tell ourselves a different story, Ian is trying to connect with the team. He genuinely wants to be liked. He's new, and he wants to contribute. And so then that changes the emotional energy around the conversation that you need to have, because you can see Ian, not as an arrogant jerk, but as some guy who's trying to do a good job. He's not seeing the rocks that he's tripping over. And that's the other thing, as a leader, you're also a coach. And part of being a coach is shining a light on the rocks that our team members are tripping over. And so, first thing you do is, you're getting a sense of, okay, what are the emotions that are driving the bus? What story am I telling myself that is fueling those emotions? And, so being mindful of not getting sucked into the emotional vortex, because, when we tell ourselves these stories, we can get sucked into the emotional vortex. And so, and then you can have a conversation with Ian from a place of curiosity. Hey, Ian, I'm noticing that in the meeting, when you speak, you've spoken up in the meeting multiple times, and I'm noticing other team members are pulling back and they're not speaking up quite as much. I even noticed myself that I was hesitant to challenge you. And so tell me a little bit about how you are seeing the meeting, and what are you experiencing in the meeting, and when you can come at it from a place of seeking to understand and being curious about it, then for Ian, he may be like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that. I just, I love these ideas and I want to contribute and I'm really excited. you know I mean, that might be one of Ian's reaction. Ian, because we are wired to scan for danger 5 times per second, it really does not help us.
Yeah,
Um,
fight or
it's like
flight.
it's like insane how we're so programmed to scan for danger. Ian may get really defensive, because, oh wow,
Yep,
he's feeling like, okay, I'm coming at him, when in
yep,
fact I'm not coming at him. And
yep.
so but if you are grounded and you can acknowledge that Ian may have that reaction because he's a normal human being, and then you can step back a little bit and say, you know Ian, I my intention here is to help you really succeed on this team, and I know you want to do a good job. And so can we agree that getting the entire team to participate is going to help us get to the best solution, and that maintaining, not, that's where we don't want to get sucked into the emotional vortex. If Ian is having a reaction that feels outsized, to the scenario situation,
Hmm.
we want to be able to recognize Ian's having a reaction because he's a normal human being, and that's his reaction in this moment. Doesn't make him a bad person. And I don't have to get sucked into that. I can maintain that neutrality, if you will, that compassionate candor, if you will. And it's not that I'm going to back down, but we're not coming at it like this. We're, you know, we're
Right.
when we're the leader, we're in the mindset of, we're seeking to understand, and we're helping to move the ball down the field. Now, sometimes we get a little interference here and there. Um, but anyway, and so ultimately, if we can ask Ian, get to the point where we can ask Ian. So, Ian, what do you think would be helpful in the next meeting? How might you engage others in building on their ideas, or helping them to build on, or encouraging them to build on your ideas? And with that, we're not saying, Ian, you
And I
just
gotta
need to
come
shut
down.
up.
Yeah,
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 you
not
just you
doing
just
that.
need to shut up. Not doing that. Yeah. But if we can engage him in, how is he making the decision to better connect with his teammates, he owns the behavior. And so he's gonna own his actions more likely than if we're telling him, Ian, next time, just, make 3 comments and then no more.
Right. And you know what? And that's kind of like how we all are, because we are basic human beings, right? So you really do go through all of these scenarios, so many scenarios, step by step by step. And you even bring up, and I even, on top of all of my bookmarks and everything. Oh, is it the one? But you talk about drama in here, right?
Mm.
Like all the drama and all the backstabbing and all the stuff like that goes on, the elephant in the room, So
Yes.
you have backstabbing, frustration, lack of trust, no accountability, stress, poor communication, disrespect, conflict, gossip, mind games, negativity, and so on and so on and so on. And it's like, you know what? That's in, and I'm thinking again as I'm reading this, and I'm going, yep, that's that Bob's union job. Him being the president. This is what he's dealing with. In our paranormal field, this is what we're dealing with. Any business, that's what you're dealing with. I mean, any fascia, you always have that, and it's an art, and I think it's a necessity, like the way that you word things, the way that you make us change and step back and breathe and think, and, about the different scenarios that we can do. This is when I used to call my friend Tiffany and say, Tiff, you know, how can I word this? And she'd be just like that, and she would come out with it, and that's like, oh, okay, see, I didn't think of it that way. Or my friend down the street here, Marsha, she'll be like, all right, well, you're getting all worked up, you know And it's like, it's going to be done anyway. So just calm down. It's going to get done. Let's do it, because I have been all these things lately. I've been on this roller coaster myself lately with this event, with changes and this and that. I mean, it happens. It's everywhere. It's changes, it changes, it changes. So yeah, you can get upset for the moment. And then it's like, okay, well, that's done. Now we have to just do what we have to do and move on, But here's the thing. Now, when you're in these moments and everything, the main thing you have to think of is no one thinks like you do, and everyone thinks that, oh, well, I know that this is the right way, so everyone should automatically know that this is the right way. However, you ask them what they think the right way is, and it's just like, really? No. And you still think your way is the best way. But then that's when that compromise comes in. But that is a mentality that so many people just don't get, that no one thinks the way you do.
Oh, exactly. Right. And we really do make that assumption. And in fact, just even today, I was in a conversation with a leader who is struggling with it with a team member, and she's so frustrated with this team member, and but yet she consistently does not articulate her expectations for this team member.
Uh,
She expects, and we're talking about an age difference here, somebody who is in, I believe she's like in her late 50s, the leader, and she has a
20-year-old.
24-year old. Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
it's this 24-year-old's first job. And so
Yeah.
so making these assumptions, because she's a really good individual contributor and she's a really good example. She reminds me a lot of Will in the book. There's a story about Will, and but she's a really good example about it. And this is similar because she's a good soldier, and I mean, she gets the work done, and she's a hard worker, and she's smart, and she's capable, and frankly, she doesn't want to lead. I mean, if we're really being honest here, she has this direct report, but she really does not want to set this person up for success. I mean, and it's not intentional. It's not like she's trying to see her fail, but she doesn't want to invest in helping this person to understand what success looks like. These are my expectations. This is where we're going. What's your plan to get there? Have you thought about this? What about that? She
Wow.
really just doesn't want to do that. And I think because she's very, very
Is there
attached to the work that she
is there
does.
another person on the team that can relay that?
Oh, I'm hoping we're going to get to that conversation. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because you know,
Yeah. Because,
you can't
yeah, I
you
mean,
can't just
they're both
expect.
on a trajectory. It's not a good trajectory for either of them, because this is not sustainable what she's doing. And her direct report doesn't have a chance of succeeding.
No, hell no. Excuse
Right.
my, but
Yeah.
hell no.
Mhm, mhm.
And it's so important. Again, the communication. It's if I sent my team out and it just said, hey, everybody come in here. Here's a badge. Go. They'd be like, go
Right.
where? Do what?
No, exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, I know it's painfully obvious to the rest of us. And she sees it, but she doesn't want to do anything about it. So like everything else, there's a lot there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm that overachiever person too, so
Hmm.
I have everything is mapped out. My Excel sheets are beautiful. You know, I'm, I'm like the queen of Excel, but I,
Hmm.
I do, I have, I mean, like my itineraries are perfect. And I'm still waiting for my menu. I have to, print out all these menus, and then I have a count of how many menus I'm going to need for 2 days for all, for how many celebrities these and how many people are handling these celebrities. So how many menus do I need to put in that packet, So right now I need 140 just to complete that, and I'm waiting to get the finalized menu so I can type it up and print it out and put it in the packets. Everything else is in there. And I'm like, I just want this to be done.
Yes. Oh my
You
goodness gracious. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and the level of detail that's necessary for an event like this. I mean, and you need that perfectionist, and you need that element of control. It's that recognition that those those are, there are gifts in there. It's not like it's bad. There's a place for that. And I think, when you're planning an event like that, having that eye for detail is so critical. And that's the leader's challenge, right? It's like, when am I holding on so tightly to perfection and control that in the situations where I need to release it, so that it's not sustainable for me, but also in terms of my team members stepping up and growing and developing. Yeah, I
And they
need
all,
to
and you know what? I was complaining about these things too, and they're stepping up saying, "Do you want me to print stuff? Do you want?" When my printer died, I was like,
yes.
"No, it's okay. I've got one coming." And
Mhm.
like I have time, and I'll be good. But they're stepping up saying, I can do this and I can do that and whatnot. But I mean, I'm in Pennsylvania. They're up in New Jersey. It's like, no, I'm not going to have them do all of that. I love you, Heather. Thank you, thank you. You see what I mean? It's like, a lot
Mhm.
of people are messaging me, if you need help, anything, you need. And actually, one person I took up on that because another thing got thrown at me, and I went, oh, okay, so now I don't have a person for that spot. What am I going to do? And the next thing you know, someone's messaging, and I said, well, you know what? There is something you can do for me. You can make sure that this person gets to their speaking engagement on time. And they said, absolutely. So, now I
I
don't have to worry about that.
and I think Gina, that also shines a light on the people will walk through fire for you if they know you care. And I,
And I do,
my
like,
yeah,
with my boss.
exactly. And that's clear. I mean, in the whatever 20 minutes or whatever, half an hour or however long we've been talking, it's like, it's obvious, that you genuinely care. And so your team members, they feel that. And so it's like, okay, it's not a command and control kind of environment. It's you care about your team, and your team members are connected to making this an amazing event as well. So that speaks to your character and how you show up with them.
Oh, it's true. And that's how has to work in business,
Yes.
I mean, whatever that line is that you need to have done, we have a goal. Everybody has this goal. This is the goal, and none of us are going to succeed if we don't hit this goal. So how are we going to pull this together? And but it is like these leaders, they're like, a lot of them, they don't feel like they're up to it, like your girl, okay, or she doesn't want to, or they don't feel up to it.
Yes.
It's like, well, then, all right, now, did she contact you for coaching, or did the company contact you for coaching? Because that's where this type of coaching would definitely come in handy, especially this book. This book should be in the president's hand. This book should be in every school. This book I would give to my children if they were teenagers. Okay. This is how you need to run your life. Okay. You know, I mean, honest to God, this should be in everybody's home,
Mm. Yeah.
no matter what.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Bob says, this is my fiance, and he says the goal is survive the weekend. I know, it's
Yes.
like, well, I'm the one
Yeah.
killing myself over here doing all this stuff, but his car comes in, he'll do the physical stuff starting the week before, going, because this is a huge. It's like, I think this place is 360 acres. I mean, it's just massive. That's why we have so many people coming, but
Mm.
it's everywhere. It's spread out. There's one courtyard, another courtyard, another midway area, and that's where all these vendors. We have like 300 vendors, and 30 plus celebrity guests, and all. And actually, I can show the pictures here.
Yeah. How
This is
long is this event?
so. This is the. It starts on Friday, so it's the 17th and 18th, right, of May. Okay, but it starts on Friday
Hmm.
night, and there's a VIP party. And there's actually going to be, Annabelle will be there, but in a separate building, and that's a separate entity, actually, even from us. And then we have our new this year, these mini workshops. So these are non-celebrity people. This is a non-paying 20-minute segment, or so 20-25 minutes, that each of these people here will be telling what they do and contribute into the paranormal metaphysical community. Or one talks about crystals, and there's paranormal teams, and that type of stuff. So they all have different unique features that they want to talk about. So this is a new thing. So that's why I had to come up with another person, another area. I just got my easels to put my stands on for those speaking things going on. And then all our celebrities that are on here, like these guys used to speak for an hour during the days. And now, because we have so many, they're only speaking for half an hour. So my people have got to make sure that they close their lines, that they have their person there ready, because it's 12 o'clock, 12:31, 1:32, 2:30, all the way up to 4:30, so it's this swapping in and out has got to be precise. I have all the faith in the world that they're going to do this. So it's it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, a lot of moving parts. Very exciting though. I mean, and there'll be hiccups because there always are. I mean, when you're live, that's just part of it. It's like, okay, we roll with it. I mean, we don't freak out. We roll with it and we figure it out.
Yeah, and then when you're there too, I mean, it's an off the grid place, so you got to make do with what you got. You got to try to think of all the things you're going to need, And that's where, again, my team comes in handy and they say, okay, well, we've done this. So people working with Project Fear, they're like, okay, well, they like to have, these wet wipes and, like little body wipes and chapsticks and gum or mints or, have waters on hand, sunscreen if you're going to be outside in the sun, like all these things. So one girl, she's bringing a whole, like a carriage that she's pulling, like a cart full of stuff. So that she makes sure her celebrities are happy, and they're going to be very busy people, these Project Fear people, because they have to, they're engaging with people all day, and they're speaking at 3:00, and then they're featured at a little party before the main party at night. So they have a little speakeasy that they're going in. It's like a meet and greet little dinner thing, or well, not dinner, just a little meet and greet with them. And then they're going right from there up to the main VIP party that I run at nights, like Friday night and Saturday night. And then they have to speak right away at 7. So we're serving food at 6:30. They're speaking at 7. And then they got to go ghost hunt in this facility until 2 a.m. So it's like they're going to be shuffled all over the place,
Yeah.
but it's like, but so is everybody else, But it's like, it's just it's all timing. So you got to make sure this one's here to here to here to here. And and this is not an easy walk. This is a hike, to go from this building to that building to that building, way up the hill to that building, So yeah, I get exhausted thinking about it.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. And when is the event?
It's May 17th, 18th. Well, it's Friday night's the VIP party, all day Saturday, all night, Sunday, all day, and Sunday night ghost hunts. But I'm not going to be part of that ghost hunts because I am 2.5 hours away from this venue. So I'm going home when the main parts shut down on Sunday. So I won't stay for the ghost hunts at night. I just want to get home and die, because basically it's 3 days of no sleep for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
There isn't any time. And there's no time to even leave the place to go to your hotel to shower and come back for the party, because the way that the timing is. So it's just, you're there from 6 a.m. until 11, 12 at night. And then you're there 6 a.m. And again, and then by the time you get back, you're so wired, and you have to get up. So no sleep, no sleep 3 days.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. But it's going to be wildly successful. And so much fun.
It goes by so fast, and it is. And I wish I could see it all. I really do. But I'm like, and I also vend. So we sell, equipment. So for paranormal things, so we have a big tent and we're vending all day too, plus putting out fires and whatever all over the place, So yes, it's a lot. And we don't do this solely, right? So the owners of Penhurst, they have an amazing crew. Amazing, because they handle all the booking of all these people. We handle them, we manage things, and then their teams and their different crews. So they have like 2 different crews, and then they have the crew that will direct the traffic and the parking and directing people on where to go, ticketing to all the ticket booths, because we have 3 different tickets coming in. You have RIP, VIP, general admission. RIP is at 8 o'clock. Then the next one comes in at, I think, 9 or 9. I think 9, and then the next is 10:30. So it's like wave, 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 which is perfect control of that many people, and traffic. So, like your first wave will be driving in, and then they're probably in, first in line for their celebrities, and then the second wave will come in, parked, and then the third wave will come in, and that controls the traffic in town. So there's a lot, and then food and porta potties
Oh
and
yeah.
ambulances and fire and protection. There's
Mhm.
security all over the place, and there's just everything. It's everything. It's so much involved. It's big, big, big wheel. So many people are involved, and it usually does run very well. you
Mhm.
know,
Yes.
but we all go crazy at the beginning.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and just yeah, high alert. Yeah, it sounds
Yes,
like 48 hours of high alert. Hmm.
yes, yes,
Hmm. Yes.
definitely.
And how many years have you been doing this?
Um, oh my goodness, uh, 9, 10 that I
Oh
have with
wow.
Bob. Bob started it. When he started it, he was with his old group and his old people. I didn't know him then, and they had 50 people. And then then I met him, and then I went to one and it had maybe 150 people.
Mhm.
And then when I got together with Bob and we started doing it, and things started changing, and the management changed there and everything, and they wanted to be more involved with it, then it's turned to 2,500 people, and then 5,000 people, and then last year we had Josh Gates, so we had nearly 10,000 people. So, and this year we sold that many tickets without the day of walking up. So it's
It's
pretty crazy.
huge.
It's
Oh my
huge.
gosh, it's
Yeah.
huge. Yeah,
Yes.
it's fantastic. Yes. Uh huh.
First thing you
Hmm.
Okay, yep, you can buy your camera. But we have a lot of stuff. This is more equipment than we brought before, so I have a 10 by 20 tent that's going to be like, I have to worry about that too. How am I going to set this up, for all this stuff? But
Yeah.
we'll do it.
I
We'll do it.
I hope you're a daily meditator.
Oh, honestly,
Are you?
yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I
Yeah.
was gonna say it. I was like, okay, you've got to be doing something to get yourself grounded,
Yeah.
centered, breathe, all of that stuff. Yes.
Oh,
Good.
no, most
Yes.
definitely. And I think too, a lot of people in business need to do that, as
Oh
well. But I
yes.
mean, but
Hmm.
people in the paranormal, and then a lot of
Of
people are
course.
empathic, too. So it's
Yes.
like you have
Yes.
to shut that down,
Yeah.
so teach people how to shut that down. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll have my moments and I'll yell and I'll scream. And Bob will attest because he's always my sounding board and my target and everything else. And it's like, "Ah!" And then, 10 minutes later, I'll be fine. But that's because I'm like,
Hmm. Yeah.
okay,
Hmm. Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
All right. So I
Yes.
had my
Right.
moment now. Oh, here we go.
Hmm.
There we go. Yes. She yells, and I yell at him to calm down. Oh, gosh. Well, Heather, just come see us. And I still love you too. And as a matter of fact, we're getting married there in September at Penhurst. We're getting
Oh,
married at an asylum.
I love it.
We really
Well,
are.
yeah, well, life is
Yeah,
crazy, so why not?
yeah.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
that is
that's
the
great.
actual picture of
Hmm.
the asylum there. That's the
Hmm.
admin building. So yeah, we are, because it means that much to us. So
Yeah,
that's why we're
yeah,
having a wedding there. So on top
that's
of the
awesome.
event, and I'm
Yes,
planning a
yeah.
wedding, and I'm doing all my centerpieces
It,
and
my gosh. Oh my
And, and,
gosh.
and yeah, it's been a lot. It's
Yes,
been very
a lot.
stressful. And the printer
Yes.
breaks, my microwave broke,
Hmm.
all this stuff. I'm like, oh my God,
Hmm.
why?
Hmm. Lots of energy going on there. Yes.
It
Yeah.
really is. It really is. But now these are the things, though, that will really throw your leader at work off the rails,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So
Yes.
you talk about stuff like that in there,
Hmm. Hmm.
So what derails people?
Yes. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The derailers. And so yeah, I have a list of them, but when I talk about the derailers, I like to put them in three buckets, if you will. And so, like, let's say, the first bucket, we'll say we'll call this Rebecca, okay? And Rebecca You know, she's a high charger, she's a perfectionist, she's controlling, she gets stuff done, she gets after it. And you want Rebecca on your team because she's so good at getting the work done. And so, you know, it's classic, you know, and then, you know, Rebecca gets after it and she's really good at that. And then she gets promoted. And so Rebecca, everybody loved Rebecca when Rebecca was part of the team because she delivered, she got stuff done. And then when she moves into management, then those around her are like, oh my gosh, you know, she's so controlling, and you know, she's not, you know, communicating with the client very well because, you know, in Rebecca's mind, it's like this is how this needs to be done, you know, and the client, you know, they're having ideas, you know, and but this is the way it should be done. And so Rebecca's struggling to connect, but she was really good at getting stuff done, and she still needs to get stuff done. So it's not like we say no, you have to cut that part of you off. No, we bring those strengths forward, but it's the classic, you know, what gets you here, in the immortal words of Marshall Goldsmith, what gets you here will not get you here.
Right.
So now Rebecca's really has to develop these other competencies, and so, you know, there are 12 competencies in leadership that directly correlate with leadership effectiveness and organizational effectiveness. All right, and so Rebecca's got some of those competencies, that ability to get stuff done, really important. But in a manager position or in a leader position, you've got to get work done through others, and you've got to be able to build relationships, and you've got to be able to forge those connections, because Rebecca cannot do it all. No matter how passionate, hardworking, dedicated she is, she
Right.
cannot possibly do it all. And
Right.
so you know, that's one bucket, is, you know, we'll call that, you know, the controlling bucket. Okay. And then another bucket is, we'll say Joe. Okay. And Joe, people love Joe. I mean, he's such a nice guy, and he gets along with everybody, and he never rocks the boat. And people just love him because he's the first to volunteer, and he's just so darn likable. And so it's like, oh my gosh, you know, Joe gets promoted to management, and everybody's like, oh, can I please go work for Joe? He's so kind, he's so sweet. And, you know, but Joe then, while
Doesn't
he's
get stuff done.
wonderful, he's wonderful at relationships, but he can't have those difficult conversations. He's paralyzed. He's terrified of upsetting people, when in actuality, it's just what he's terrified of is his own discomfort. But he says, well, you know, I just, you know, I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, or whatever. And so for Joe, he's got to develop that get stuff done. He's got to develop more of that strategic side. He's got the relationship side down. All right. He's got that in spades, you know. And then let's say we've got Tyler now, and Tyler is absolutely like a duck on the water, just glides along and cool as a cucumber. And, you know, the building's burning down, and Tyler is very calmly articulating what needs to happen next. And so very calm under pressure, unflappable. And so you really respect the fact that when everyone around Tyler is upset, and the drama is in, you know, full tilt, you know, Tyler can just be really calm. Well, then Tyler gets promoted into management, and it's like, my God, the guy's an Iceman, you know. I just he's so arrogant, you know. He never acts like he cares about anything, you know. And it's just like he's so detached, you know. He's you know, he's in there surgically removing the heart and soul of the organization, you know. And so it's like, you know, those three buckets, you know. You've got the controlling, you've got
Yep.
the very passive, and you've got the very aloof. And so it's the those, and within those are the derailers, but those are sort of the big buckets. And again, they all have strengths. We want to pull forward the strengths. And so for Tyler, what you know, people don't know necessarily where he stands. And so he's got to be able to articulate, you know, this, you know, what does he see in terms of what's possible? How does he see his team members? How are they connected to the bigger mission, vision, and values of the organization? And creating that interpersonal connection with them, and showing up in a way that is more authentic, and showing more of, what does he really value, beyond the coming across as calm, or aloof under pressure.
Right? It's like, oh my God. You know what else too? Like when you're getting promoted from within, and say your team members down here, and you're that overachiever, that first one that you talked
Yes.
about, now she's leaving that big hole in that spot because now she has new things that she needs to do. So who's going to do this work? And everyone's going to panic like, oh my God, I can't work like she does. You know what I mean? So it's already
Yes.
sparked this big, you know,
Yes.
within the team.
Mhm.
So, hi, Colette, how are you? We're doing great. And we're talking about leadership roles and leadership in corporations and many organizations, as any
Yeah.
organization whatsoever, like how to connect your team members, how to communicate with your team members. And communication is always the key. And
Yeah.
again, you have to read the room.
Yes.
You have
Yeah.
to communicate with everyone differently.
And I think the other thing too is, while we're talking about organizations, and that, everyone is a leader. And in like with your team members and your big event, every single person on that, who's executing that, is a leader in terms of
Absolutely.
how are they interacting with each other, and how are they reacting when things go wrong, and how are they showing up, how are other what are others seeing when they are looking to them as, and is that how we roll in with this event? Is that the culture here? Are
Yep.
they demonstrating that culture, the culture that you're trying to create, in their actions and their interactions?
Yep. And they do it in spades.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like they get their baseline from me, and then they take it from there, and they know that I trust them, and they never let me down. They never have, you know,
Mhm.
and they never will. I know it. And the people, these celebrities have asked, that we've had them multiple times, and they've asked for the same people because they work so well with them. That in itself, says a lot for them, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it's wonderful. The new people, I mean, everybody will all gather on Friday before the VIP party after setting up the tents and doing this and setting up everything in the main areas and all that and getting up there to the VIP party, and we're serving the dinner, because I have them help serve dinners too for the VIP guests. And then I do all the speakers at night, make sure they get on the stage at the right times and swap them out and all that, and just run all that. But I'll be meeting the new people for the new first time in person, as well as everyone else. And we have this group chat that we talk all the time. When I get a new piece of information, I'm right on it with them, telling them the information. And then even if it gets changed, it's like, okay, well, sorry about that, but it's changed. And I said this, I told you from the beginning, everything is subject to change, especially with this event. So,
Mhm.
bear with it, grin and bear with
Yeah.
it. So it's like,
Welcome to life, right?
exactly.
Welcome to
So yeah,
life. Welcome to work.
yeah,
Everything is subject to
what
change.
is in here will be your final thing. Everybody will have all the information that they need.
Mhm.
Everything that they need is going to be in their individual things. Some packets are this thick and some are this thick. So it's just what they need for that person.
Mhm. Mhm.
But let's see. Okay, we got a big long one. 100%. I am the chief deputy at our office, and I oversee everyone when my boss is not there. That's good. Boy, oh boy, do you have to read the room with all the different personalities? You really do. And you know what I find? Men are harder to deal with than women. Like men think that women, you have to like, oh, women. And it's like, oh, so opposite. It's just so opposite. It's like, oh, with the men, because it's too easy to get to butt hurt a
Mhm.
man than it is to a woman. A woman will take it. You know what I mean? We want to know the truth.
Right.
We want to know the
Exactly.
answers. We will handle it. We will
Mhm.
do it. We will get it done. We're mothers.
Mhm.
We will do
Well,
it.
and yeah, and and I'm a little hesitant, but I will say that the pattern that I see, um, in my work, over and over again is, to your point, in that women are much more open to leadership development and coaching because they're going, how do I get this right? And not everyone, not everyone. I mean,
No,
like
yeah,
the
I know.
person
Yeah,
I talked about earlier, she's struggling, and I don't think
right,
she
right.
is ever going to be ready,
Yeah,
for coaching. But
yeah. We're
vast
talking
majority,
majorities and minorities.
yeah, and the vast majority, women will come to me regularly, and I'm in a new leadership role, and I want to succeed, and I know that I'm not showing up the way that I need to be and I want to be. And so they tend to be, I find, very, very hungry. And it's not that men aren't, but I find that it is harder for them to
Ask for help.
initiate the
To
effort,
ask for help.
exactly, to
They will
ask for
not.
help, to ask for directions. I didn't.
Right. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. They won't
But
do it.
when, for example, in one of the companies that I worked in, I was an internal coach, and so that was part of their leadership development as they went through a leadership development 360. And so when they were on a pathway to a manager position, then they had to go through this. And there are a few things in life, in work, that are as anxiety producing as a 360 review. And so, and now the 360 review, for those who may not be familiar with it, what's happening is that you're getting feedback from your boss, your boss's boss, your peers, your direct reports, others in the organization that work with you. And so it's a really vulnerable experience. And now when I do it, it's for the purposes of development. It's not for the purposes
Not
of
attacking.
performance
It's not
review.
doing any of
It's,
that.
yes.
No.
And so it's really very much, and it assesses them on those leadership competencies. But anyway, but when the men who went through that had the opportunity to do that, 9 times out of 10, it was really rare for me to have somebody who wasn't really ready to engage, and they had the data. They may not like the data, but they had the data that said, how are they showing up? How are others experiencing them and their capability with regard to these 12 competencies? And so then they would open up, but they're far less likely to, I found anyway, to invest in coaching and leadership development unless they are told to.
Right. But then the ones that are going willingly are the ones they're coachable. But speaking of that,
Absolutely.
I'm going to put up your banners here. All right, so you're coaching leadership development coaching, team coaching and alignment, and crossroads coaching. Now those are three separate entities. So tell me what those are, and do they find them through here?
So walkingleadershipledge.com, that is my book website. And so there it will take you to anglecoaching.com. But on that one, on walkingtheleadershipledge.com, there is a 2-minute assessment that someone can take that gives them, it helps assess where they are in their leadership development. And it gives them a semi-customized plan, some things that they can do right away to help address, maybe some areas where they might be struggling, or if they're crushing it, still build on those areas. So there's that. And so I'm going to go to team coaching for a minute, because this is an area where, so organizations will throw people together, and they'll be like, okay, now you're a team. And so the assumption is, if you played on a team, if you've cheered for somebody who's on a team, you have a kid who's on a team, if you can spell the word team, well, by God, you can all now be team members. You can be successful team members. And of course, that doesn't happen. And so with team coaching, it is probably one of my most favorite areas, because I take them through the team alignment process. And what is really interesting about the team alignment process is essentially, teams want four core things. They want communication, they want trust, they want respect, and they want accountability. We'll go through a whole exercise, but fundamentally, that's what I find over and over again are the root of what teams want. Now, plenty of teams will say they'll have a little conversation about what their team norms are or whatever, and that's all fine. But the thing is, like when you say, if they say, we want communication, we want trust, we want accountability, and we want respect. Okay, and everybody's like, oh yeah, yeah, rah rah, we all want that. But there isn't this conversation around, well, okay, what does trust actually look like to Gina versus Tess or to Bob or to Joe or to Betsy? And
Exactly.
so, what does accountability look like? What
Yep.
do, what is it in action? What will you see? What will the team agree accountability looks like in action? So it's not your interpretation versus my interpretation, because you know
Not everyone thinks like you.
precisely, exactly. So but so few teams have conversations around, okay, well, we all want these things, but what's our individual interpretation, and what do we, as we have that conversation, what do we together agree trust is going to look like on this team? What do we together agree accountability is going to look like, and so on? And so then, the team creates what I like to refer to as the team pact. And I like the word pact because it's rooted in the word peace. And pretty much every team I work with could use a little bit more peace. Yeah. So
Most
yeah, most of them. Yeah, pretty much all of them. And but it's a dynamic document. They put this together. They agree. They acknowledge how does each individual, how does dysfunction show up for them? What are the things that they do that when they get hijacked, what are you going to see? What is Gina going to see when I get hijacked? Okay. Well, when I get triggered, I may shut down and I may be stonewalling. And so, what do I need from Gina and the other team members to help me pull to the other side and move past this? And
Yep.
so there's this acknowledge, because we all bring dysfunction. We all have it. We all bring it. And so, but instead of pretending that it's not there or getting irritated when the other person is stonewalling or over, becoming overly critical or whatever, we can put it out on the table and we can talk about it and we can agree that we're going to coach each other. And we also acknowledge, okay, well, if I'm going to stonewalling, I'm owning that behavior, and I'm also owning, what am I trying to do to move past this, to so that I am working on articulating what I need from Gina, so that I'm not just shutting down and stewing because Gina's not giving me what I need or I want, to get this project done. I'm articulating what I need and want. And so with the team pact, they're talking about how they're going to play together, and it's a living document.
There could also be, though, the team members that are begging for this, begging for the information, and then there's that person not giving it to you, like your girl, that you were saying is struggling. It's like,
Mhm.
I need this information. I want this to work. This eager 24-year-old that's working for her. They are eager,
Yes.
which is rare nowadays, because I think, like I'm 63, and my generation, we're hard workers. And I mean hard workers. I work from morning until well at night, and I had 3
Mhm.
businesses. I did all the book work, I did
Yes.
all the estimating, and did all the physical labor, and did it all. It was just nonstop. So it was like, what hat do I put on when I come through the door when I get home? And then you have this generation that I don't recognize as workers, not all of them, because there are still those eagers, and there are still the ones that want to go from zero to corporate CEO in two seconds. And it's like, no. You got to get it. You got to work for it. You got to, understand the concepts. You have to do all the working parts. You have to know what all the working parts are. If you want to lead it, you got to know what runs it, you know?
Mhm.
And it's like,
Yes.
I always used to say when I was doing my businesses, it's like this. There's those people that can open a cabinet and be looking up here, and the glass falls and you don't even have to look. Your hand is out here and you're catching that and you're putting it down. Okay. Or the glass spills on the table and you pick it up right away and you spill minimal. But then there's the people that do this or let that glass smash. So it's like, what type of person are you? You know, do you let those things fall? Do you watch that and then, think, or are you quick? Are you quick to come up with a solution? And when you own a business, you need to be quick to come up with a solution. And you got to be right on top of it and all the time, everything that's going on everywhere. And you got to communicate, again, that's like the biggest thing. And I find that, like a lot of these leaders, sometimes they're promoting within their families. So then they feel stuck. And it's like, well, they're not doing their job. And then you have everything starts to fail, that trickle down effect, and everything is failing. What do you do? If they call a coach, if they called you to come in and say, hey, my son, my niece, nephew, whatever, not doing the job, what can I do? I would say fire them, demote them, put someone in a position that can actually do the job, but that's my opinion. But, what would you tell them?
Well, culture is created by the worst behavior that the leader is willing to tolerate. Now, that's not my quote. I can't remember who said that, but
Your
truly,
quotes in the book too, by the way, just FYI. And
thank you. Yeah,
every
and that's in there. That's in there,
yeah.
and it attributes it, and I'm not remembering who off the top of my head, but you're always a choice. As a leader, you're a choice, and if you are going to tolerate this behavior that is inconsistent with what you say you stand for and what your core values or whatever are plastered all over the wall say you stand for, I'm sorry. People can smell hypocrisy at 200 yards, and but you got to own
And
your
you're not fooling
decision. Yeah,
anybody.
pardon me.
You're not fooling anybody.
No, you're not fooling anyone. I mean, and so then you have to acknowledge, okay, I am going to keep my son or daughter or, mother or cousin or whatever, in this position because I have chosen that the alternative of demoting them or removing them from this position where the residual impact of their behavior is having a ripple effect throughout. You're a choice and you have to own your decision. And so if that's what you're willing to tolerate, just know that you are sending a
You're not
very
gonna make a choice.
loud and clear message to the rest of your team members, and
I know. Why
you
would
got to
they
own it.
why would they bust their butt if you're putting someone in
Precisely.
charge that's not
Precisely.
pulling
Yeah.
their weight?
And
All right.
when
So
you're seeing the revolving door and you're going, gosh, well, we just can't get good people, are you looking at the culture that you've created? Are you looking at the messages that are being sent from yeah, the top of the organization, and how is that then being upheld throughout the organization, so that when you're hopefully trying to create a culture of communication, and that you're having these conversations around, are we showing up with each other and with our clients in a manner that is consistent with what we say we are as an organization? And it's not just something that's, these posters that are plastered on the wall, and all of this nonsense. It happens in the day-to-day interactions. And are we being respect? If we say respect is one of our core values, what does that look like in action? And how are we upholding it? And how are we holding each other accountable for that?
this is going to be frustrating for a coach. This is what I mean. I always said, because I help people all the time. I mean, I really do. I try anyway. And they always said, why don't you become a coach? I'm like, because I don't think I could handle the situations when you go into a place like that, like a work, so I can't eat gunk, just bad energy and dysfunction and chaos, and like I could see what needs to happen. I could whip things together if I was the one there working. But on a coaching level, the right words, the eloquent words to say. See, I'm from Massachusetts, and you know what they call us up there, right? So, I may come across as harsh in my language, but I have the biggest heart, I think, on the planet. However, I have no patience for like if you go in there and you say, hey, all right, let's have this exercise, because you have beautiful, wonderful, fantastic exercises in here. I mean, simple, okay, to get to the point. And then when someone still doesn't do it, doesn't get it, doesn't grasp it, doesn't, like, how do you not just want to rip your hair out and scream?
30 minutes of meditation daily. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And
uh,
she has lots no, I do not. I do not. And especially when it comes to like electronics and things, I have zero patience. But I really have zero patience for stupidity is like really high on my list. I don't. I'm
well,
sorry. It's not,
and
it's not something I'm hiding. I mean, it's
yeah.
not,
Mhm,
but
mhm,
I just
yeah.
don't. But Heather here, I just want to say what she wrote here is, why is there always just one that can't say correctional criticism, even when something is said to them nicely, and then this is a very lazy employee, just comes in for work for a paycheck, and the others are fantastic. There's always those people, always. And it seems like they're
Mhm,
always the ones getting coddled. And then the
mhm,
ones that are doing all this hard work, it's like, well, you just, you get to the point where you expect it from them, and every once in a while, it's like, yeah, it's nice. And Bob asked me the same thing. Well, how come you don't say I do a good job? But he does do a good job. He works hard every day. But
mhm.
I am from Mass. I'm a whole. So I'm harsh, you know what I mean? I wasn't raised on like,
Mm,
oh, good job. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's, you do your
right.
job. You do
Yeah.
your job. You do well. You're proud.
Mhm,
You own it. You have a whole thing on own it, right? But you own it and you go on to the next. You know what I mean?
mhm,
You don't need the
mhm,
parties and the ticker tape
mhm.
parades or any of that stuff. Just
Exactly.
great job. And now we're on to the
Mhm,
next.
mhm, mhm. Yeah.
I mean, because if
Yeah.
everyone had a freaking parade every time you do one thing, it's like, come on,
Mhm, mhm.
there's no time for
Yeah.
work.
Mhm, mhm. Yes, exactly,
Is that hard?
exactly.
I
And
mean,
again, why are we here? All right. It's not about you, individual contributor. It's about here how are we together having an impact on the people that we are serving. And and for the leader, being able to help them connect with that, and then hopefully you are also getting to know, what are the things that drive you, that motivate you, and that how can you connect your own purpose, if you will, to the bigger purpose of the organization. And in some cases you can, some cases that's really easy, in other cases it's not. I heard something recently, someone talking about on another podcast, how they were visiting St. Jude's Hospital, and the Children's Hospital, and they were talking to someone in the elevator, and this was, like, I think they were, maybe they had a food cart or something like that, and she asked them, she said, what do you do here at the hospital? And she said, I cure cancer. Because she understands how her role is part of the bigger picture. She can connect her professional purpose to the bigger picture of the organization. She sees that value. If she's a food service worker or a maintenance worker, she can see her value in helping this organization do these amazing, great things.
absolutely. Why I have these on is because I want to read one of your quotes at the beginning of your chapter 3, sink, swim, or grab a floaty.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
And it's kind of in reference to this thing here. Okay. So frustrating about being coddled and stuff. Now, Stephen Covey is the one who says this. Treat a man as he is, and he will remain as he is. Treat a man as he can and should be, and he will become as he can and should be. Okay? So when that person is being called, now you got to switch your mindset. Do we want to change this person? All right. So that right there, that was like one of those, okay, I circled, I starred, I was like, poof. And then even the first line in this chapter is, if they would just do their jobs, everything would be fine. Do you know how many times, a million times I've said that? And I say that to poor Bob. And Bob says it all the time about all his, union workers and everything. If they would just do their job. you know, and it's
Yes.
like, yeah, but
Hmm.
in a perfect world,
Hmm.
everybody would do their
Hmm.
jobs like that.
Yeah.
But
Hmm. Hmm.
let that sink in. So maybe you can apply that, like, how do you want this man to be at your work that's acting like this?
Yes.
Treat him thusly, and then hopefully he shall change.
Mhm. Well, hope springs eternal, right? So the uh, but I think what I take from that quote is that when we look at people, we can make assumptions about their motivation, about their commitment, and because they're not showing up in a way, or they're not doing things the way we think they should be doing them, and so we may make an assumption that they don't care, or that they're not competent. But if again, what's my mindset in the interaction with this person? And if I can see this person as, okay, they do things a little bit differently than I do, is it wrong?
Mm, right. No,
Oh,
doesn't mean it's
hmm.
wrong. It's just different.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, is it different? Or if they're not doing it the way I want it done, have I clearly articulated what good looks like? Have I equipped them with the tools and the training that they need to actually execute on what it is that I need done and how I want that done? And it's so common. I just and the other thing, and I think I talk about, I think it's that chapter where I talk about over and over and over again, I will run into organizations that, a team is hiring someone, and it's kind of like, we're hiring for accounts payable, or a project manager, or a customer service rep, or whatever, and they look at the resume, and it says, this particular title. But yeah, and so they make this assumption that, just take project management, because there's this whole gamut of, skills and requirements that can be can be necessary for this type of project management, versus this type. And they just automatically assume, well, you know Carol was a project manager at XYZ company, and so she's going to be amazing when we hire her to be a project manager here. And so, but they don't go through the process of looking at, okay, what's our job description? What's a project manager? What does as a successful project manager do in our organization? And are we, when we talk to Carol, are we going to have conversation around, okay, asking questions that will shine a light on, does her project manager experience actually, does it actually align with what we're looking for in a project manager? But so often they're like, well, heck, yeah, they've done this before, and they make the assumption that
Right.
it's the
Yeah, you
same
can
type
never
of job.
assume.
Exactly. Oh, I
Never,
know.
never,
Yes.
never assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Again, the communication is so key. And and then, like, you talk about things. The book is amazing. But I was just looking down on my list of questions. Every once in a while, I look down here. I don't think I really need
It's
them,
all
but every
good.
once in a while, I look down here.
Hmm.
But it's like confidence. I see the word confidence. I underlined the word confidence. Now, confidence is key too, because if you want to manage or run, CEO to just a manager, a project manager, you know, your confidence denotes what the team's, you know, if you're going in there like a mealy mouse and I don't know if we can maybe we can do, I don't know, you can't be like that. You'll be like, all right, this is what we're doing, and we have this, and we have this, and we have this, and this is our goal, and this is what we need to do it. And I have this paper, and I have this paper, and I need 7 people on this one, and I need 6 people on that one, and I need 5 people on this. Volunteers? Right. So, what do you want to do here? Like, what's your skill set? Can you manage this one? Can you manage this one? How about this one? All right. So, divide up your team, but, of course, we're going to communicate. Of course, we're going to read the room, but that confidence is really important. And how do you instill that in people that might not have that?
Oh, this is such a good, juicy topic. I love this. And so, Eric, there are a couple of things here. So, first of all, courage comes before confidence. And for a new leader, the worst thing that they can do is come in full of confidence that is false confidence, and that as a mask trying to cover their insecurity, right? Because we can, it's
Yes,
another thing that we can smell at 200 yards.
exactly.
And so there's the being courageous enough to experiment with some things, and to say, yeah, and to articulate that, okay, this is what we need to do. This is from my perspective the way we should go about it. But also being curious, a new leader coming in, and there's a leader that I talk about in chapter 7, where I talk about curiosity is queen, king, and everything in between. And Jeremy,
I
so
just got done
Jeremy,
watching Bridgerton when I read that, and
oh,
dear me,
oh, yes.
it was so
Oh,
funny.
that's such a fun show.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah,
So I talk about Jeremy, and so Jeremy, he was hired into this. It was a new organization for him. I mean, totally new industry for him. He's 33 years old, and his boss, which in my word, that to me is like a child. Okay, so he's 33 years old, and so his boss, like 2 months in, takes another position. He leaves the company. And so Jeremy, at 33 years old, finds himself in the CFO position. Okay. And I mean, that's really young to be in a CFO
yep,
position.
yep.
So I mean, and you talk about where the wheels could have really fallen off the bus for Jeremy. So the organization is going through all of these system changes. He's a new leader in a new industry, in a new organization. And so, but what did Jeremy do? I mean, Jeremy didn't walk in and say, okay, this is how we're doing things. Jeremy walked in and said, help me understand your role. We're going through these system changes. You've had experience in this much longer than I have. What do you recommend? Jeremy's going to make the decisions, but he's not going to walk in there with, there's the confidence to admit, say the words, I
Well,
don't know.
confidence and arrogance are two different things.
Yes,
Being
exactly.
confident for a
Yes.
leadership role is one thing. Arrogance, no one will follow.
Yes. Yeah. But folks get it, they get them confused, and they think, well, if I've got to come across as a confident leader. And what happens is that rather than leaning into confident curiosity, then they lean into the belief that they have to exude this confidence that then comes up as arrogance, shows up as arrogant.
And then
Um,
you also mentioned too, like not your words have to be, I don't know. You know what I mean? You have
yes,
to be
yes.
able to
Hmm.
communicate that fact. If they ask a question, you can't like have a bull answer. I don't know. I'll find
Hmm.
out. Or maybe or we can find out, but I don't know that answer.
Yes.
And I mean, there's no shame in that either. And a lot of people will take that as, oh well,
Hmm.
you just get like knocked down a peg or something, or have that,
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
and it's like, no, it's not. It's a working component in
Hmm.
communication in that level to make that team work together. And it's like, oh well, all right, so they're not all encompassing and all that. They're not God. They're one of us. They're people. We are all human beings. We're all flawed. None of us are perfect. You know, but we can strive. You know, how much pride do you want to take in your own work? Let's bring
And
all
that really is, over and over again, I have heard from, and it's, especially as I was doing interviews for the book, it was over and over again. They feel this pressure to have the answer, and saying the words "I don't know" it feels like such a painfully vulnerable experience for them. But how many times have we experienced someone who asserted something, and when it would have been so much better if they had just said, "I don't know. Let me check on that," or
yeah,
made a commitment, because
Yeah,
they didn't want to, they didn't want to tell the customer that they didn't know or they weren't sure. And so they made a commitment, and then it's like, oh, wow, I'm paying for this in spades on the other side.
exactly.
Hmm.
That's like the man
Yeah.
not asking for directions, or the man not wanting to
Yes.
piss off a
Hmm.
waiter by saying how they want their
Yes.
food cooked.
The
What do you
steak,
say in
right?
a food line?
Exactly.
I'm like, you can go through a food line. You can even go through McDonald's and say, I don't want salt on my fries. If I go through and I'm with Bob in a line and I say, I don't want salt, oh my God, and it's like, what? That's how I want it. That's what they do. They have a thing. They don't, they
Yes.
won't put fries on one, salt on one little
Yeah.
section of fries.
Hmm.
It's no big deal. It's how you want your food. I'm not going to
Right.
eat
Yes.
a shoe leather steak when I want it rare. And if I ask for a rare and it comes out shoe leather, I'm still not going to eat it. And you damn straight it's going back to the kitchen.
Right.
You know, but
Right.
you have to say what you want, no matter
Yes.
what it is in every aspect of your life. I mean, we're taught
Hmm.
that from baby. You're reaching
Right.
for a bottle. You want a bottle here.
Yes. Yeah.
It's yes, we know the concept.
Hmm. Hmm. Right. You cannot read my mind. Hmm.
Yeah, you have to
No
ask.
matter how much I think you should be able to read my mind, dang it.
I know, no matter
Yes.
how well
Why
you know
can't you read
someone.
my mind? Yes, exactly. Right. Hmm. Hmm. Yes.
No, no. In a perfect
Mhm.
world, again, in a perfect world.
I
Okay.
don't know if that would be perfect, Gina. I don't know that I want
It,
anybody reading my mind.
well, yeah, no.
Yeah, no, probably not.
Yeah, I'll take
Hmm.
that back. I
Hmm.
will totally
Yeah.
take that back.
Uh-huh.
But sometimes it would be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's when someone said,
Yes.
what do you want for dinner tonight? I don't know.
Yes. Hmm. Hmm. Yes.
But do you realize we've been on already for an hour and a half? And it just
Oh,
was,
wow.
yeah, I told you it's going to fly.
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
other says, I say to people that I'm unsure, and that's good, right?
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
something I'm unsure of. Well, let
Sure.
me search this and I'll find the answer. I'll definitely get back
Yeah.
to you right away. Absolutely
Yeah.
100%
Yes.
perfect answer.
Hmm.
You know,
And that is so empowering, and if we're on the receiving end of that, that's fine. It's just, yeah, they'll get back to me, and then they do.
yeah.
Hmm.
And then way back here in the end of this book here,
Hmm.
you have your lists. Okay, these lists.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
values. Uh-huh. Hmm.
So like what I understand, what I underline as I'm going through them kind of quickly is like balance, collaboration, compassion, detail oriented, empathy, excellence, gratitude, honest, integrity, intuitive, professional, respectful, responsible, teamwork, trustworthy, wise. Those were my top ones. And then you go on and it's like, well, narrow that down to like five. I'm like, I can't. I can't. I need all
Uh-huh.
them. I need all
Hmm.
them. And then like where I'm ending your book, I'm like, look at I do. I just have. It's just dog-eared crazy. Everybody needs this book. If you have children, you need this book. If you own a business, you need this book. If you're
If you're
managing a
on a
business,
team,
you
yes,
need
yes.
this book. And then if you're on a team, hi Beth. This is another one of my worker bees right here. And
Oh,
she is going
hello,
to be
Beth.
performing my ceremony when we get married. She is going to.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
I love her.
lovely.
Yeah, I love
Hmm.
her so much. I love you. I love you. What was I saying?
You were saying that everybody needs the book.
Oh,
I
everybody! Yes,
wholeheartedly
everybody
agree.
does need
Yes.
the book.
Yes.
And then like say you're on a team in an office, and maybe you're going through these types of things. Say,
Yeah.
bring this in and say, hey, you know what? I think if we're having all these problems, some of these exercises that are in here might work for us. They will work for you. Okay.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
just
Yeah.
telling you right now, they will
Hmm.
work. They're simple.
Yeah.
Even a man can do
Yeah.
it. Right? So,
Hmm. And yes. Okay. You said that, not me, Gina.
I know. I'm sorry. No, no. But a man doesn't want to do these things. A man can do this, right? The simple exercises in there. They'll do it. And then
Hmm.
they'll
Hmm.
benefit from it. Like the women will all sign up. Yes, I want to do this.
Yes. Yes. Hmm.
But
And if that's the case, great. Then the women set the example. They're leading by example, and yeah, you can do this. It's like you said. I mean, it's short. It's an easy read. It's conversational. It can be, yeah, a book study, and it's like, okay, well, how might we apply this? How might we how might we experiment? And everything's an experiment.
Yep.
In the, letting go of it's, oh, well, I don't know. What about this? What about this? It's not going to be perfect. Absolutely, because nothing is perfect. But if you can experiment with a few things and try them out and then tweak, adjust, and fine tune it so it's fitting your culture and what you need and addressing a particular issue, and keep it small. We don't want to boil the ocean. Just keep it small.
I freaking love you. But again, like even stuff like a church group, there's,
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
things like that, like
Hmm.
any organization, anything, paranormal teams. Hello.
Hmm.
All right.
Hmm.
There's chaos and there's drama and there's everything
Hmm.
in
Oh,
there. It's
yes.
all
Yeah.
addressed. Everything is addressed. Okay. Lots of things will help you, just even in general, just in general, just to think of the dynamics of everywhere you go. Even if you're going somewhere to a company and you're trying to get their services and you're seeing how things are run, that's you're going to make your determination whether you're going to hire that company or not, right? So if you know someone that owns a company and say things are going on, say, hey, I got a gift for you, this might help your company.
Mhm,
So it'd be a great gift for birthdays,
mhm,
for
mhm,
Christmas, for their business, just for a
mhm,
friend, to help
mhm,
anybody. I mean, honestly, it's that good. I
mhm,
could not stop reading it. I was going to read half and half, and I just couldn't stop reading it. So, and it's only, it's not huge. Okay, it's not huge.
That's
But
it.
like I said,
Mhm.
look at the dog ears I
Le-
got here. It's like
Less
50.
than 200 pages. Yeah.
Yeah, less than 200
It's,
pages, and I think
it's
every page is dog-eared almost.
oh.
But every page has writing on it. Every page. And then I love this too.
Mhm.
Wait, what?
Thank
I
you,
have
Heather.
to them? It's like, oh God, it's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, I wrote wow on this one here. So, oh yeah, yeah. Again, for you men out there, ask questions. You shall receive answers. I wrote wow. What a concept.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yes, yes, yes.
you
Whatever.
too. You too. Oh, long day
Mhm.
drive back from Pittsburgh. Ooh, 9 hours. Ugh, yucky.
Yes.
Well, I'll see you soon,
Mhm,
Heather. I'll see you at Penhurst, right? So,
mhm, mhm,
oh
mhm,
my goodness, that's a long drive. Yes, yes, it is.
mhm. Yes.
I used to be able to do those when I was younger.
Mhm,
Like nothing.
mhm,
Now
mhm,
it's definitely
mhm.
more taxing. Yeah,
So
we're
I'm
gonna.
wondering, Gina, if since this is live streamed, if anybody has a question that they would want to ask, but I don't want to, maybe they've already asked it if they do, but feel free if you've got a question, you want to throw it out there, or a challenge that you're facing. I mean, I'd be happy to talk that through. Not that I'm not saying I'm going to have the answer, but we could chat about it.
Yeah. So anybody has a question, please definitely put it up there. Now, this question here is: what's the big lie ineffective leaders tell themselves? Because
Oh
this one
yeah,
I like.
this is one of my favorite ones. So this goes back to the leader who they really need to address an issue, and they you know they don't want to hurt feelings, or it can even be somebody who really needs to delegate, but they're not delegating because they're like, well, I don't want this person to have to do this hard thing, or I shouldn't put more on their plate, or whatever it is, where they tell themselves that because they're so loving and altruistic that they're protecting the other person from whatever this is, and the big lie is that they're not protecting anybody else except themselves. But they tell themselves that, okay, well, I don't want to do this because I don't want to hurt them, or I don't want to make them uncomfortable. But it is not about them. The lie is that you're telling yourself that it's to protect them, but all it is you're trying to protect yourself, and you're not stepping up to the plate. And it's yeah, another analogy that I use in my conversations. It's when we don't give feedback, when we don't have the hard conversations, when we don't create a culture of collaboration and connection and communication, when we do not set up our team members to succeed, or at least make an effort to do that, it's like plucking the legs off of a spider. I mean, we are slowly, I know that sounds awful, but I mean, it's like we're
I hate spiders.
debilitating them. I mean, well, maybe you would want to pluck the legs off the spider then, but it's like, I mean, you're just slowly debilitating, this person, because every time you don't help coach them or correct them or guide them, or like I said earlier, shine the light on the rock that they keep tripping over. It's selfish, because we're only protecting ourselves in our moment of discomfort that we don't want to experience, but we're doing nothing for this other human being that is really relying on us to become more effective in their role.
Right, right. Can I just take a second to sit here and just say, you have like a million, like your accolades here, your certifications, your list is long. So you have certified professional coactive coach, so Coactive Training Institute, advanced certification in team coaching for International Coaching Federation, team coaching certified practitioner, Global Team Coaching Institute, professional certified coach, Information Coaching Federation, leadership certified practitioner, organization development certified professional, navigating transitions certified TQ coach. What's a TQ?
Is Gosh, you asked me the hard question. What does TQ? It's transition quotient. It's like
Oh,
IQ, TQ, transition
okay.
quotient. Yes.
And leadership strategies trained facilitator, EQI 2.0 certified practitioner. I won't ask. Certified
That's
conversational
emotional intelligence. Yes. Mhm.
conversational intelligence coach practitioner, crucial conversations and crucial accountability certified trainer. That must have been an amazing course. Playing big trained facilitator, positive intelligence coach. You have a BA and an MA, and it's just amazing. Like, when do you have time to write or do anything else when you were doing all these things or
Well, I'm a
work?
learning junkie. I'm a learning junkie. So, and,
I
and
am
of course,
always like that too.
yes,
I
yeah,
never stop
exactly.
learning.
And those are things, yeah, I have acquired those over many years. So, yeah, but yeah, truly a love of learning. Hmm.
Right. So for me, I've gone to all these different schools. Um, like I went to accounting school. Well, first of all, like I said, I was like a triple business owner and always was self-employed. But before that, when I was a teenager, my first, no, that's not even my first job. My first job was I worked at a fruit stand, and I killed myself physical labor all weekend. And I made more money in a weekend than my mother did working all week. But that family taught me to be the business mindset that I had for the rest of my life, because it was a family-run business. Yeah, an Italian family,
Mm.
very good business, very well organized. Everybody ran like I run my team, very, cordial, friendly, but work. So we're hard workers, but we're good. And then I went to this place called the Picture Place Photo, and I met this man, Dave Mackey. Dave was a beautiful man, but he was just the funniest man. Weird looking, strange, not beautiful that way, gorgeous. He was very strange looking, but he was so funny and so warm and so gentle and so kind. So I started working for him, and he did picture developing, which I knew nothing about, but he was starting this new thing. And I loved learning. I loved doing new things. He
Mhm.
was doing slides, computer generated slides. I was the first one in all of Massachusetts to be making computer generated slides. What I had to do is I'm on the computer, and if I wanted the curve to go this way, I had to point how many degrees and in what direction, click it, you know what I mean, and then go on and on and on. And then I had to call on a phone, hook it up to a modem, put everything through the phone lines, send it out, have it come back so I could look at it to see if it was right, you know? But all
Yeah.
these big wigs of these major companies was coming to me to make their slides for their presentations.
Mhm.
But then once that turned to, they finally got it so that, it was an easier system and we didn't have to do
Mhm.
all that. So that calmed down. But he liked me so much, he's like, well, why don't you do the book work and stuff like that? And I said, okay, sure. So I did his books, and I had this man, Mr. Rudio, comes in, teaches me how to do accounts payable, right? Accounts receivable, blah, blah, blah. So I'm doing all these books for him. Then Mr. Rudio, the accountant, says, how would you like a really big job? And I said, okay, doing what? And he said, it's for Dave. But he hasn't had any books set up like this for the prior years. And I said, okay. So he brings me a few boxes at first. So I start doing his checkbook, for like a certain year. Then he takes me to the house and he opens the garage door, and the garage is full of boxes.
I knew you were going to say that. Oh my gosh.
Did I do it? Yes, I did. But then I went to accounting school, because then I know I want my own business, but then I wanted to go to accounting school because I wanted to be able to do my own books. I went to design school because I wanted to be a designer. I went to art school because I got a scholarship to go to art school because I'm an artist, so I went to the Art Institute of Boston, did not like it, not one little bit, because my mind was more business and they're more flighty artist type people, and I didn't fit in, because I'm just like, well, we got to do this, we got to do this, and they're just like, oh, we're just going to go outside and paint, and we're going to do, let's batik, and it's like, no.
Let's figure out how to sell your art.
Right.
Yes,
What I mean?
Yes. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love all that. But let's figure out how to sell it.
Yeah. So now I'm doing, I do art on in the work that I do now for the paranormal, the boxes that I make. I'm doing graphics and I design these boxes, and like they can personalize them and everything. So, so I'm still doing all of that. And and the accounting, like I had a 4.0 in accounting school. And then I broke my collarbone and I tried, and it was an accelerated course, and I tried to go back too soon and I was still on medication, and my 4.0 went.
That hurts.
It did hurt. It did hurt. It just crushed me. But I learned enough to do my business, so I didn't need to finish that. It was not going to be a CPA. I was not going to do any of that, not to work, just to do my business. So now I do Bob's books, because I thought, okay, I left Massachusetts. I left all the businesses. I came here. I'm like going to be, no, I'm not.
You're not wired for that. Yeah, you're not wired for, to chill, sit back and chill. Yeah. Yeah. You're always looking for the next big thing, I think.
It comes to me. So
yes.
This event. My next event's in July. Our wedding's in September. Then we go away for 2 weeks. I set up a huge Halloween thing, and then we're going to another event right after Halloween. Oh, and a wedding. And I have to go to a wedding because I have to go to Jay Hawes's daughter's wedding in October. And then one more event in November. And then we're done for the year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Girl.
I know.
Yeah.
And I do my show every week. And I always read the book and I prepare. So, that's why I like to have a lot of people want to send me PDFs. I'm like, no. Because I don't know where I'm going to be at any given time. I need a book in hand, I need to, and I like a book in hand. I like books,
Yeah. Well, and as somebody, for someone who's been now on a few podcasts, you always know if the host has prepared, if they have, actually read the book.
Yes.
And, or, even if they've skimmed a few things, they've looked at a few chapters, or whatever, but it's really obvious right away if they've actually read the book. Yeah. So I appreciate that.
I can't even tell you how much I freaking love this. Well, I've told you, and I'm going to tell you again, but I have like so many things, usually I can just kind of pinpoint these things and have a couple things. And, but when so many things are dog-eared, it's like, oh my God, okay, well, where was that one? It's like, I know it's dog-eared, but which one of these 500,000 pages is it I'm looking for? All right, we did talk about those. Awareness, yes, swim. There was one more thing in here that I really wanted to pull out, and I can't remember what exactly it was. Not the elephant in the room. Oh, the 4 horsemen of destructive communication. That got me too. I was like, you have a lot of acronyms in here, too. So that was fun, so things that you can quickly remember. Again, people, for good, easy things for your work. But this whole thing, it's like I have circles, arrows, circles, arrows, But I
Mhm.
loved this four horsemen thing that you were talking about. So do you want to just kind of
Yeah, sure. Very quickly. That's from John and I believe Julie Gottman. I got her name right. The Gottman Institute. And so they actually they started talking about the four horsemen of communication. And so when uh, well, it's criticism and it's defensiveness and contempt and stonewalling. And so when on a team there, and we do this as part of the team alignment pact, and that's where we talk about, okay, which horse do you, I ask them, which horse do you ride in on? Because we talk about those different the four horsemen and how they might show up. And most of us, depending on the situation, probably have a couple that we tend to lean into when we're triggered, when we're upset. And it's not uncommon for somebody to, perhaps at home, criticism shows up more often, but at work, stonewalling shows up more often. And so for a team and in an organization, when there is a prevalence of the four horsemen, then that becomes destructive to the team and to the organization and the ability of the team to actually to move forward. So it's be starting, paying attention to, okay, what's the horse that I'm riding in on? And then when we do the pact, it's that taking ownership. Okay, this is what happens to me, and this is what you're going to see, because and I will say that, when I worked in commercial construction, oftentimes folks would say, yeah, I'm going to contempt, and that's the very, very snarky,
Yep.
where, but yeah, they could see it, they could acknowledge it. And then they would talk about, this is what I need when I go to that place. And it's probably because I'm overwhelmed and I'm frustrated. And so I need someone to step in and say, to ask me what I need. And when I'm going there, and I know it's not helpful to the team. So it's very much about owning, how do you show up? But it requires self-awareness. And then, that other piece, as I mentioned, alluded to earlier, it's like I'm working on being more patient in asking more questions. And it doesn't just stop with I go to contempt or I go to stonewalling. Okay, because we can fall into this trap of, well, that's just the way I am. Well, once again, well, that's just BS. And that's just an excuse for choosing not to do your part to be the best leader that you can be. And so, it's how am I showing up? What am I doing to address that? And how am I owning my behavior and choosing to do things differently going forward? And knowing that, we're all works in progress. But we have to, as leaders, and regardless of where we sit in an organization, be able to turn the mirror on ourselves and be
And
able
that's the
to
hardest thing
recognize,
for
oh,
people to
it's
do.
so hard. It's so hard for us to do, because we don't necessarily like the person looking back at us. At least in that moment, it's like, this is not that.
Yeah, not a
This
good
is
look
not the
for me
lead.
when I did this,
Yes,
but
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
have that, because I always say people do this real easy. You. No, you got to do
Right.
this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that recognition of also, and you showed the list, the values, and there's a series of questions back there. If you
Yes.
can pay attention, it was really interesting because my husband, and when he was reading, one of the earlier drafts, he said to me, he said, people talk about the importance of having values and knowing your internal core values all the time. But nobody ever talks about how do you actually find those, how do you discover those, and so the exercises help you to become more, to crystallize, to get
Yep.
clarity around what do I value.
And
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 the
in a team group setting, then you see
uh-huh,
what everyone else picks. Like, what,
exactly.
what sticks out
Hmm.
at you, and
Yes.
then all those things, be it different, make the whole.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know, you need all
Exactly.
those different attributes to
Yes.
make this
Mm-hmm.
work. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So you want honesty, you want integrity, you want this, you want that.
Yes.
You be that. All right. And
Mm-hmm.
you want, I'm picking the things that I picked. So you
Mm-hmm.
want, let's see, service, safety, security,
Mm-hmm.
strategic. Okay. So you be a
Yes.
guard.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like you need all
Mm-hmm.
these working components. And
Yes.
it's very fascinating,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and
Yeah.
then when you're doing a self-assessment, but if you're doing this in a group setting, then it really sinks in. Man, it really is. Nobody thinks like me, or, we all don't think alike.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Right. What is George Carlin? I think it was who said, anybody driving slower than me is an idiot, and anybody driving faster is a maniac.
I love George Carlin.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
he's great. Oh, that's so funny.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
All right, we only have 5
Okay.
minutes left. So
Okay.
what do we want to round up with here? What's like what is something that we didn't touch on that you think is really important for
Mm.
people to know?
Gosh, we covered so much ground here, Gina.
I know we
So it was, yeah. I think we covered most of the book. I'm not sure if we need to, we might have given it all away.
No, no, absolutely not.
No, just,
Because this is a thing that everyone needs. So I'm going
mhm.
to, okay, walking the leadership ledge. Oh, that was the thing I didn't even ask. Why did you name it that?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So the leadership ledge is the liminal space. It's the space in between. When you were in this position or this individual contributor, you were comfortable, things were secure, they were predictable. And now you're stepping into leadership, and you are truly on the ledge, and you may be teetering on that ledge. And it's that space where you are becoming the next iteration of you as you step more fully into the leader that you're capable of becoming. So it is a space in between. And the other thing is, when as a leader, you do stand on the ledge over and over again, and you don't know if when you take a step off of that ledge, the drop is going to be 10 inches or 10,000 feet. And oftentimes it simply depends on the day. Some days it's 10
Wow.
inches, and other days it's 10,000 feet.
I'm so glad I asked you that.
Same here.
That's pretty
Mhm.
profound. I mean, did that just come up? Did you
Oh
contemplate it?
no, yeah,
Yeah,
I thought about,
heart,
this is in
heartfelt.
terms of, yeah, what's this book going to be called and why? Hmm. Hmm.
But yes,
Yes.
go on to the which one has this now? The
The
leadership
assessment, yeah,
is
the assessment is walkingtheleadershipledge.com.
okay.
Connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to connect with you. If you want to reach out, have a little conversation, we'd be happy to. You can visit my business website, talks about my various coaching programs, and I'm also gearing up to hold a Soul and Science of Leadership for Women program in the fall, and so specific
And how would they
to
sign up for
women.
that?
So connect with me on my website and just indicate that you're interested in learning more. So, mhm.
That's fabulous. Oh, good. Well,
Mhm.
congratulations on that, and please keep writing. And can we try to get this to the president? Can we do that?
Good luck. It wouldn't matter.
I know. I don't know
So,
if he knows how to read. Anyway, sorry.
it's okay.
But I do. I adore you. Hang with me for a minute. I'm
Mhm.
going to say goodnight to everybody
Okay.
else. I'm going to
Okay.
see you all
Okay.
next week, and then after that, I'm taking a little sabbatical for the Paracon, and then a little time to recuperate because I'm old. Okay, so then I will see you when I get back. But we will be here next week. And Tess, thank you so much for a wonderful show and a wonderful book. And buona
Thank
notte,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Fox Time with Gina B and Mama D. We are here every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you a variety of guests or our own intuitive oracle card reading shows. We are streaming live on Facebook on my personal page and our YouTube channel, The Fox Time with Gina B and Mama D,
on Mama D's YouTube channel, Angel Meadows, as well as our audio-only venues. We hope you enjoyed our show and our guest, or your reading, and we would love it if you would go to our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, subscribe, share, and definitely hit that notification button to never miss a show. We'll see you all next week, and subscribers, watch for our pop-up shows as well.